My name is Clara Vance, 28 years old, standing in the corner of my brother's art gallery while he gives a toast. To real art, Julian says, raising his glass of champagne. To works of passion and tangible beauty, not the transient fads of the digital world. He smirks in my direction. And to my sister, Clara, who found a stable, if uninspired, career in corporate design. Someone has to make the PowerPoint slides, after all. The crowd of art critics and collectors chuckles politely. My phone vibrates in my clutch. A notification from the Ethereum network. Sale confirmed. Ephemera number 7 by NYX. Final bid, 1,200 ETH. I do a quick mental conversion. $3.6 million. I take a slow sip of my champagne, letting the bubbles dance on my tongue. The taste of victory is surprisingly sweet. Before I tell you what happened next, let me know what city you're watching from in the comments below. And don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more stories of hidden talents and long-awaited vindication. Growing up a Vance was like being born into a museum. Our father, Arthur Vance, was the lead art critic for the Global Arts Chronicle, a man whose opinion could make or break an artist's career. Our mother, Eleanor, sat on the board of 3 major museums, and my brother Julian, 5 years my senior, was the prodigy. He could paint like a Renaissance master by the time he was 16. Our home in Beacon Hill wasn't just a house. It was a curated collection where every wall held a piece of art history. Julian's success was the family's central narrative. Julian just sold his entire graduate show before it even opened. Julian is being featured in Art Forum. Julian's new gallery is the talk of the town. Meanwhile, my own artistic endeavors were met with polite but firm dismissal. I was fascinated by the intersection of art and technology, creating intricate digital landscapes and generative art that evolved with code. At a family dinner when I was 20, I excitedly showed them my first major digital piece, a swirling nebula of light and color I had spent months coding. My father stared at the screen for a long moment before sighing. "Clara, my dear, it's visually interesting, but it's soulless. It's pixels and programming, not passion. There's no brushstroke, no human touch." Julian had been less diplomatic. "It's glorified clip art, sis. Stick to your graphic design classes. At least that's a marketable skill." The words meant to be a final judgment became a secret promise to myself. I would create something so undeniably powerful, so commercially and critically successful that they would have no choice but to see it. But I would do it entirely on my own terms, hidden in plain sight. That night, in my small dorm room, I created the persona Nyx, named after the Greek goddess of the night. Nyx would be my shadow self, an anonymous artist free from the weight of the Vance name. I started posting my work on niche online art forums and encrypted social networks. I learned about blockchain technology and NFTs, seeing them not as a gimmick, but as a way to establish provenance and ownership for digital art, the very thing my father claimed a double life. By day, I was Clara Vance, a competent but unremarkable graphic designer for a Boston marketing firm. My family saw it as a sad practical compromise. "It's good you have a steady paycheck, dear," my mother would say, her tone laced with pity. Julian would occasionally send me links to entry-level gallery assistant jobs, in case you ever want to be around real art again. By night, I was Nyx. I spent my salary on high-end processors and rendering software instead of designer clothes. I taught myself advanced coding languages, collaborating with other anonymous creators online. My first NFT sold for the crypto equivalent of $300. I almost cried. It wasn't about the money, it was proof. Someone saw the value. Nyx's star began to rise. My pieces, known for their complex, emotional algorithms and haunting beauty, started gaining a cult following. Tech billionaires and savvy young collectors were paying attention. An anonymous art blogger called Nix the most important digital artist of our generation, a true master of the new canvas. I printed the article and hid it in a shoebox under my bed. By my 27th birthday, Nix had sold over $2 million in art. I quit my marketing job, telling my family I was freelancing to give myself more time to focus on building a proper portfolio. They exchanged worried glances, assuming I was on the path to becoming a starving artist. That year, I quietly founded a company, Nix Media Group, to manage my growing intellectual property and invest my earnings. I hired a sharp tech-savvy lawyer and a wealth manager who only knew me through encrypted video calls. I was invisible, and I was thriving. The moment of reckoning came unexpectedly. Julian's gallery, while prestigious, was struggling. The old money collectors were aging, and he stubbornly refused to engage with the new generation of tech wealth. Facing financial ruin, he decided to stake everything on one massive fundraising gala. The centerpiece would be the auction of a recently authenticated Modigliani sketch his gallery had acquired. "This will put us back on the map," he declared on Sunday brunch, 2 weeks before the event. "It will remind the world what true, lasting art looks like." He looked at me. "Clara, you should come, Clara. It'll be a good networking opportunity for your little freelance business." I smiled. I wouldn't miss it for the world. That afternoon, I made a call to my contact at Sotheby's, who was handling the auction. "I have a client," I said, using my professional, anonymous voice. "The artist Nix. She is willing to offer a unique piece for the Vance Gallery fundraiser auction. It will be her first ever physical print, paired with the NFT. She wishes to remain anonymous, but the piece is guaranteed to draw
aware of
significant
Nix's
attention."
meteoric market value, jumped at the chance. Julian was ecstatic, though dismissive. Some digital nonsense, he told our parents over the phone, a call I overheard. But the tech bros will pay a fortune for it. Their money is as good as anyone's, I suppose. It's a necessary evil to save the real art. The night of the gala, the gallery was electric. I wore a simple, elegant black dress, blending into the background as I always did. Julian was in his element, holding court and basking in the praise. The Modigliani sketch went up for auction first. It sold for an impressive $800,000, but I knew from the tense look on Julian's face that it wasn't enough to solve his financial woes. Then my piece came up. It was titled "The Ghost in the Machine," a stunning, luminous print of a haunting, abstract figure emerging from a sea of code. The auctioneer's voice boomed. "And now, a historic offering, the first and only physical work by the enigmatic artist Nix. The bidding will start at $1 million. A hush fell over the room. Then an explosion of activity. Paddles shot up. The price climbed at a dizzying pace. 2 million, 3, 4. Julian was staring, pale and disbelieving. My father was on his feet, peering at the artwork with a look of intense, confused concentration. The bidding war was between a tech CEO in Dubai and a hedge fund manager in New York. "Sold," the auctioneer finally cried, "for $5.2 million to the bidder on the phone." The room erupted in applause. The auctioneer held up a hand for silence. "And we have a special announcement. The artist, Nix, has agreed to match the winning bid with a personal donation to a new fund supporting digital artists, and she has decided to reveal her identity here, tonight." A wave of whispers swept through the gallery. Everyone looked around, searching for some mysterious cloaked figure. My father was muttering to my mother, "Incredible! Who could it be?" Julian looked like he was going to be sick. I took a deep breath, straightened my shoulders, and stepped out of the shadows. I walked to the podium, my heels clicking on the polished concrete floor. Every eye in the room followed me. I saw Julian's jaw drop. My mother's hand flew to her mouth. My father simply stared, his face a mask of utter shock. I reached the podium and turned to the crowd. "My name is Clara Vance," I said, my voice clear and steady. "But for the last 5 years, You have known my
The
work
silence
under the
was
name
absolute.
Nix. Then, a single camera flashed and the room descended into chaos. I ignored it, my eyes locked on my family. Julian's face had gone from shock to rage. "This is a joke," he stammered. "A prank. You work in marketing." "I did," I corrected him gently, "while I was building my company. A company that is now worth substantially more than this gallery." My father finally found his voice. "The brushwork, the composition, but it's digital," he said, the words catching in his throat. His entire worldview crumbling in a single moment. "It's art, Dad," I said, a wave of sadness mixing with my triumph. "It was always art. You just refused to see it." In the weeks that followed, the art world was turned upside down. My story was everywhere. The underestimated daughter of a famous critic, secretly one of the world's most successful new artists. My father had to write the most difficult column of his life, admitting that the art world was changing and that he had been blind to it. Julian and I had one final explosive confrontation. He accused me of orchestrating his humiliation. "I didn't orchestrate your failure, Julian," I told him calmly. "I simply refused to participate in my own." My relationship with my family is still a work in progress. It's not a fairy tale ending where we all embrace and pretend the past didn't happen. But something has shifted. My parents are trying. My father now asks me to explain my process, his curiosity finally outweighing his prejudice. Julian, after selling the gallery to avoid bankruptcy, is taking a sabbatical. For the first time, he's not the golden child. He's just a man trying to figure out his place in a world that changed without his permission. The real victory wasn't the look on their faces that night. It was 2 months later, at the launch of the Nix Foundation for Digital Artists, funded by my auction proceeds. As I watched the first group of talented young artists receive their grants, I realized I hadn't just built a career in the shadows. I had built a legacy in the light. I no longer needed to be advanced to be a success. I just needed to be myself. Have you ever had a secret passion that others dismissed? Share your experience in the comments. And if this story inspired you, please like, subscribe, and share it with anyone who has ever been told their dream wasn't real enough. Thank you for listening. And remember, the only validation you ever truly need is your own.